Clara Oswald is considered one of the worst companions across all of New Who, with fans still complaining about her to this very day. However, I think upon reflection and rewatching her run, Clara is actually a pretty good companion. Well, she's almost good. She's okay. Watching her story play out from Series 7 through to 9 paints a picture of a companion that had a lot of interesting facets and traits, marred by rocky foundations that stopped her from being embraced by the fanbase. In short, many of the improvements made to Clara were too little too late, but I think it would be a shame to overlook the finer details and assume that everything about this character was unequivocally awful. Here's why Clara Oswald was almost good. To look at the bigger picture surrounding the character, I think it's pertinent to go back to her introduction. Well, all three of them. This right here presents us with our initial problem. So in a shock reveal back in 2012's opening episode, Series 7's Asylum of the Daleks, then TARDIS team including Eleven, Amy and Rory meet Oswin. The Doctor makes an effort to save Oswin, only to discover that she is in fact a converted Dalek, trapped in the depths of the asylum. She dies before giving the Doctor and his companions the chance to escape. So far, so. Oswin wasn't bad here, but she wasn't great either. Then we meet a second Oswin, this time finally known as Clara, in the 2012 Christmas special, The Snowmen. I think this episode does a good job of introducing the character, primarily because of where we find the Doctor. He's just lost the ponds. In episode continuity at least, it's implied he's spent quite some time skulking away since the Angels take Manhattan, and he doesn't want to open himself up to anyone. Victorian-era Clara manages to bring him out of his shell. She challenges him on his moody demeanour and gives him a reason to show off the TARDIS again. By the third act, Eleven is back in business, and then Clara suffers a fatal blow, which she succumbs to by the episode's end. Eleven is convinced that since she's died twice already, she must be out there and they'll meet again somewhere in time and space. This isn't something I inherently have a problem with, but the subsequent episode, The Bells of St. John, is where Clara starts to become truly bland. There's two reasons why the introduction to the main Clara, let's call her Clara Prime, doesn't work. In The Snowmen, there's an emotional, character-based footing for the Doctor and Victorian Clara to meet and become friends. They both need each other and are given purpose from their burgeoning relationship. In The Bells of St. John, the pair meet for plot-based reasons. The Doctor guards her because she's under threat, but she doesn't need him, and neither of them particularly grow from the encounter. The Doctor has already gotten over his grumpy phase, this second relationship doesn't do anything for either party, and this Clara never gets to see that all-important context regarding the Doctor's arc at Christmas time. But Moffat treats Clara Prime's interaction with the Doctor as if her Victorian counterpart was in fact the Prime's first outing. As such, all the great moments in The Snowmen, like Clara's introduction to the TARDIS, are repeated, but to a much lessened effect. Many important ingredients to a companion opener are just glossed over in this episode, and you have to keep in mind that this Clara Prime, has no knowledge of the previous two episodes, so this whole thing feels rushed and nonsensical. The Doctor turns up, and they kind of work together to save the day, but not really, and then on that flimsy basis, it's off to venture forth in time and space. It's weak. Really, really weak. In terms of the behind-the-scenes plotting, Moffat actually admitted that the Victorian Clara was originally going to be the Clara that stayed in the TARDIS indefinitely, but late in the game he decided to kill her off, a la Oswin, and replace her with a third, contemporary version. I think this decision is really obvious, because as I've stated, the second opener establishes a reason for her to be there. The third does not. In The Snowmen, I get the feeling that these two will be good friends. In Bells of St. John, we don't even really get a sense that the two like each other all that much. Or maybe they like each other too much? The next glaring issue with Clara in Series 7 is this weird, underdeveloped idea that she's falling for the Doctor. Clara Prime and the Time Lord have no romantic chemistry. Scratch that, they have no chemistry whatsoever. And nothing in common other than both looking like they could face eviction from the villa by Caroline Flack. In the webisode preceding the final episode, Clara actually implies that she loves the Doctor.
Don't fall in love. I do that trick quite a lot, sometimes twice a day.
loves him. This has come out of nowhere. Whether you think it's dumb for companions to desire the Doctor, at least you saw this actually build in characters like Rose and Amy. But here there is virtually nothing to imply this, and I guess the Doctor wants to fuck her too?
Mystery wrapped in an enigma squeezed into a skirt that's just a little bit too tight.
Why? Didn't we just spend the entirety of the last season getting to know his wife? Oh, okay, they've broken up. Yeah, you move on quick, pal. Overall, Clara in Series 7 is wafer thin. She has no discernible life back on Earth, save for 2 incredibly annoying children that she nannies, because she was a nanny before in Victorian times, I guess. Her mum died, so what? It all boils down to a freaking dumb leaf and an even dumber speech. Everything about her is informed by a plot-based series arc. The question of who is the impossible girl, except you don't care about this either. And the reveal that she has decided to splinter herself across time to save the Doctor tells us nothing about her, other than that she would be willing to risk her life for the Doctor, but we could ascertain that from any single appearance she's had on the show. The entire mystery is plot-based, when it should be character-based if Moffat is trying to get us to like her. Compare her arc to Rose's Bad Wolf arc. So both of them end up being earth-shatteringly important to saving the Doctor and the universe. But for Rose, it's rooted in character. She's left stranded by the Doctor on Earth as she decides to face the Daleks alone. And in glorious Russ Tweed-Davies blue-collar fashion, her and Mickey attempts to aid him with a big yellow truck. Rose's snap decision to look into the time vortex is born out of her bravery, her decision to follow the Doctor no matter what. It proves the lingering question across the first series, that anyone can be capable of saving the day, anyone can be a hero, and it was the Doctor that helped to show her that. This outcome strengthens their relationship. Clara, on the other hand, is just made out to be super important so that Moffat can further cement his canon-altering tenure. Of course, she suggests the correct TARDIS for him to steal. Of course, she saves his life multiple times. Because she's Clara, she's the impossible girl. She's already supposed to be awesome. The easiest thing for the Doctor to learn is that she's just as amazing as he thought she was. And once that's done, it never gets mentioned again. Not once. Do you not think a normal, relatable person would wonder what happens to all of her copies out there wandering the universe? Would she not want to meet them? Would she not want to know that they turned out okay? Presumably, she feels sad that at least 2 of them died horrific deaths. No, fuck it. Okay then, let's just forget about it. Exploring the emotional strain of such an event after the fact could have redeemed this arc, but no, let's just forget about it entirely. Oh well. And with the end of Series 7 comes the Day of the Doctor and the Time of the Doctor, which really serves as the interim period between the 2 eras of this companion and her characterisation. What's the first thing you notice about Clara in Day of the Doctor? She's a teacher, she has a job, she has a purpose outside of the Doctor, but it wouldn't be touched upon too much until the subsequent series. More on that in a bit. Time of the Doctor shows Clara at Christmas, and we finally meet more of her extended family. Let that sink in for a moment. We're now a whole series in with Clara, and she's only just now introduced the Doctor to a table full of family members. Now I know Amy didn't have parents until the end of her first series, but A, this was part of the story, and B, she had Rory, and to a lesser extent, River, to interact with. Partly why the Ponds for me are some of the best New Who companions is because they took the family dynamic characters like Rose, Martha and Donna had, and put that dynamic into the TARDIS and into the adventures. But Clara didn't even have that. She doesn't have any friends, she didn't initially have a proper job or purpose. So why should you care about this person that you know nothing of consequence about? Even though both her job and family are only touched upon, these specials signalled a shift towards a better Clara. Not to mention, we finally got rid of Matt Smith. I say rid merely for the benefit of Clara, not because I disliked him as the Doctor, but it's no denying 11 and Clara sucked together. 12 and Clara, on the other hand, 12 and Clara are great. I just really enjoy watching them on screen together. I think her know-it-all attitude, that can be annoying at times, perfectly complements 12. He knocks her down a peg on a regular basis. This is key because in her first series, she's touted as the impossible girl, and she's arrogant to boot. Everything she thinks about herself is justified, whereas in Series 8, she's arrogant and controlling, but those traits are constantly criticised and brought to light. She's not infallible this time around, and when faced with tough decisions, she is liable to crack. I know a lot of people don't like Kill the Moon because of the science fiction elements, but the argument towards the end is a real turning point for this character.
Oh, don't you ever tell me to mind my language. Don't you ever tell me to take the stabilizers off my back, and don't you dare lump me in with the rest of all the little humans that you think are so tiny and...
When did you ever see a Clara this vulnerable in Series 7? Hell, when did you see the Doctor this truly gobsmacked in Series 7? For better or worse, the two complement each other because they challenge each other. Unlike in Series 7, Series 8 picks up with a nice narrative subplot that actually gives Clara a reason to be there. Now that the Doctor is colder and ruder and has less time for people, Clara is there to provide a much needed human element. 11 is warm and goofy, meaning Clara never had to do this in any meaningful way before. Moreover, Clara's presence gives the Doctor someone to judge him on a question that would plague him as the series progressed.
Am I a good man?
I don't know.
Whether or not he has an answer for himself, he knows in his heart that Clara can bring out the best in him and vice versa. The Clara of Series 8 can more distinctly find fault in the Doctor's actions and give him cause to rethink his strategies. They work well as a team for the same reasons that 11 and Clara did not. I like that the show immediately axes the whole romantic notion to their rapport in Deep Breath. From there, Clara treats him like a kind of out-of-touch grumpy space dad. It's way more fun than watching them ogle each other constantly. Plus, it opens you up to some good comedic moments. I can't help but laugh at this shit-eating grin the Doctor gives when he thinks that Adrian is Clara's boyfriend. Look at him, really look at this guy, standing there smug beyond belief, thinking that, of course, Clara would want a man that looks like he did. And it makes this reaction all the better. On the subject of Danny Pink, yeah, I'm a little mixed on him. In concept, I like that they gave Clara a love interest, as, once again, it gives her more of a footing on Earth, but I'm never quite sure why I buy these two together. They seem to just argue and bicker all the time, even on their first date. I mean, where was the honeymoon period? Did we completely skip it? On the other hand, I'm glad they went as far as to kill him off, show him off as a living nightmare in front of Clara's eyes, and then, wow, actually commit to keeping him dead. That's pretty awesome. So by the time we come to Clara in Series 9, she's starting to show shades of that original Series 7 Clara Prime that we didn't come to know and love. Except now their detachment from Earth, the arrogance and disregard for consequences have some decent context to bolster this behaviour. Plus we get to see more of 12 and Clara's space dad relationship. It's solid stuff. Honestly, it is solid stuff, because I can feel you slipping away. I mean, if you really stop and think about it, would Clara have been so detested if we'd have started with Series 8 Clara? If we can imagine the Clara in Series 8 as a new companion who works at Coal Hill, let's imagine they meet in the opening episode instead of in Deep Breath. Obviously you'd have to make some changes along the way as they'd be getting to know each other from scratch, but I honestly think people would have embraced this character a little more if we'd have started here. No dumb impossible girl arc, no multiple character introductions, an anchored base on Earth, tangible flaws. All the ingredients for a good companion were here. They just came too late. I think her death arc can ultimately sum up what was wrong with the character. Clara gets the best companion exit since Donna Noble, where we see her pay for her mistakes. All of her flaws that are built up across her tenure come home to roost here, and it's genuinely sad. Plus it paves the way for the excellent Heaven Sent, where we see the Doctor on his own and struggling to come to terms with her loss. So that's all great, and then they go and fuck it all up. They really fuck it
You fucking idiot, Jeremy! You total fucking idiot! That was your job, you fucking moron! You cretin! You're a fuckhead! That's what you are! A fucking shithead!
Not only do they undo the decision to kill her off mere episodes after her death, but we see her whiz off into space as a kind of faux doctor, complete with a time machine of her own and a companion in a shielder. This is the complete opposite of what should have happened. She gets rewarded for trying to be the Doctor when she shouldn't be. She should be paying for it. That's the whole point. Clara isn't the Doctor. What makes her different is her primary strength. And that's why they need each other. Clara dying was the only good way to end this character, and it ended up being a cop-out. So, as with her tenure, it was equal parts fantastic, equal parts woeful. Every time Clara had something decent for us, there was a stinging reminder of something bad. I'm interested to see how this companion will be remembered in years to come. I know she still gets a lot of negative attention amongst fans, but I really think it's not all bad. Having her around gave us some excellent stories, some excellent moments with Peter Capaldi, and that shouldn't be forgotten. But in amongst all that, it's easy to see why so many were frustrated, and it serves as a cautionary tale. Make sure, no matter what, that you introduce your companions right, that you give them a reason to travel with the Doctor, that you give them the necessary time and focus to be interesting, that they are more than just a plot point. Thank you so much for watching our video. If you'd like to see more from Full Fat videos, please don't forget to like, share and subscribe. You can see our social media links down below if you want to follow us on things like Twitter. And thank you very much to all our patrons. If you would like to join our Patreon, the link is in the description. We will see you next week.